Hello, friends. How you doing? Day 424. Oh my gosh. Hope you're doing amazing on this Saturday. And so today is day 5 of Tony Robbins Breakthrough Challenge. And oh my gosh, what a great day. All 5 days have been amazing. I hope that for those of you who have been able to actually participate, that you've seen all 5 days. For me, I started rewatching each one, starting from day one. Again, repetition is so key, so important to actually learn anything, but more importantly, retain. And so today I'm just coming in. I'm going to share with you my notes on what I got from day 5. And again, it's just an opportunity for me to look back and reflect on my notes on what I actually learned. And obviously, I'll share some other thoughts that come to mind for each principle. But day number 5 is integration day. Okay, and so what is that? It's putting everything together. And Tony talked about the difference between knowing something and applying is everything. And so that's why you have to learn how to integrate it into your life, right? Each day covers something different. And so this challenge he talked about is really about inspiration and education. And if you want more, again, you have to learn how to apply it in your life and rewire yourself, basically. And so I didn't do it on my first 4 days of notes, but today I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna show what Brian Bradley shared with regards to the Egoscue method. And so there were actually a number of exercises. I forget all the reasons why. I should probably go back and get some notes. But so there was a few exercises he did. It's about to align your body and get into peak state, basically, right? And so the first one was just putting thumbs down, put them by the temples, right? Reach back and then touch your elbows, right? You're supposed to do this 20 times or something like that. And so it should, right? If you have issues with the shoulders or what have you, right? It'll probably help. But obviously, if you feel pain, be careful. Pain is not good. Soreness is fine. Pain is not good. All right. So next one. Oh yeah. Okay. You want to stand up? Okay. I don't know if you see me, but you want to stand up. Feet pointed straight ahead. One fist apart with your legs. Okay. Hands down in a stiff open fist. Shoulders down and back. Arms out and small circles. So you want to do about 25 forward and then 25 backwards. Okay? Let's see. The third one. Oh, okay. Interlaced hands. Okay? With, again, feet is still pointing straight. Okay? Now with the interlaced hands, well, I'll just do it sitting down because you can't see me. Okay? So you want to put it straight up. Okay? And then actually push out straight. Right? You don't lean back when you're going back. Just go straight up. And what it's supposed to do actually is connect the lower and the upper body. Okay, you're supposed to hold it for about 30 seconds. It's stretching he said psoas muscle. It allows you to be more balanced and more functional, right? Because it's connecting the upper and the lower body. And then the last one is he calls it the greatest abdominal workout. And so you start off with the sprint position, like as if you're running, right? Your back leg up. And you're supposed to essentially go hard for about 15-20 seconds and then switch legs, right? So if your left was back, now put your right back, put your back leg up, and then again go hard for about 15-20 seconds. And again, what it does is getting you in peak state. So that's the Egoscue method. Whoop, whoop. I already feel pumped up already. So for me, that is just a visual, if you will, to remind me of the exercises, because I know at some point I'm going to forget them. And so hopefully this video will serve as a reminder on how to actually do the exercises. All right, but today, okay, so Tony talked about immersion is key if you want to learn anything, right? Just taking notes, you'll be able to maybe retain and absorb maybe 10% of the stuff. If you actually write down notes, if you listen, it's only about 10%. If you actually write down notes, even if you never look at them again, your retention will go up to 40-50%. And of course, if you put your whole body into it and move and emotion, then it goes up to 70-80-90%. And so that's why understanding physiology is so important. getting into peak state. He talks about. Okay. Yeah, he talked about storing information is one thing, accessing it is another. Because when you first learn something, it goes into a short-term memory, and we have to learn how to rewire ourselves so that the information can actually be easily accessed, right? When it's in long-term memory. And so when you wire it properly, it just allows easier access to from your long-term memory. And so you ever get to the point where you're like trying to recall something and it's just not there, then later on say, boom, ah yeah. Happens to me a lot. But he talks about how integration is key. It takes more time to actually put in that effort because if you gotta write down the notes, type it up, review them, right? And you have to do it all in a relatively short period of time. Because when you first hear something or learn something, you gotta get into it right away. Sorry, review it right away. That way it'll actually stick better and easier recall. Okay, so he talks about committing to mastery. Okay, it's not easy, and most people don't do it. But what it is just an investment of your time and your energy. That's all it is. Again, it's putting both the right intention. And so today, because it is the final day of the challenge, he did a quick review for each 4 days. I'm not going to review all of them, but I'll just quickly share some of the stuff that he shared before I get into day 5. So he talked about how energy is everything, and energy is a habit, right? And the goal is to be energy rich, right? That's why he talks about getting in the right state, right? All the happy feelings, the joyful feelings, right? It's a high vibration, high energy state. What's low energy? It's feeling depressed, feeling tired, bored, right? You don't want to be in that state. So, and the thing is, you can choose to actually change your state just like that. But most people won't do it because their habit is normally in a low energy state. So again, physiology is the quickest and fastest way to actually change your state. Boom, right? Like just putting my hands up like this, I already, raising my vibration just like this. Woo! Right? Yelling a little bit raises it really quickly, which is crazy. It's like I know it works because I'm big into health and sports, but like how do I get into a game? I just start pumping myself up, start jumping up around, right? Start to stretch it up a little bit, right? Automatically, my state goes up, my energy goes up, and that's how you can come up. Gives yourself a bit opportunity to be successful. Okay, and so again, you can change your state just like that. You don't have to wait till something triggers you. You have the power to do that. Okay. Next thing, emotion comes from motion. Okay, so that means you move first and then your emotion, your feelings will come afterwards. Okay, what's most important is combine movement with sound. Okay, all right, he talks about 2 worlds to master, your external and your internal. You can't control the external, although a lot of us try that. But we can influence the internal. Okay, and really that's what this whole challenge is all about. It's about going inside and focusing on personal growth, the inner work, the hard work, but it is so important. Okay, 3 skills to master, and it goes down to about your patterns, right? Your habits, creation, utilization, and creation. Oops, I wrote something wrong. Okay, anyways, go back to my first day of notes to get that one. Okay, 3 keys to breakthrough, right? Start off with state, right? Get into peak state. Because when you're in peak state, you can tell yourself a better story. Once you give yourself a better story, you can actually devise a better strategy. Most people go backwards. Okay? Start with the state. Day 2, he reviewed, the force that controls your life is the power of identity. Okay? And he talks about the 5 to thrive, but it really comes down to your belief system, right? That's why being in the peak state allows you to tell yourself the right story or a better story. Because that story is based on your beliefs. Okay? 5 to thrive, just again, let's go back to day number 2. And incantations, right? How powerful it is, not just to say affirmations, but to get your whole body into it. Again, peak state with affirmations are incantations. And that's what's actually going to create long-term belief, basically, right? Because if you're lying to yourself, just doing affirmations and you don't believe it, you don't put your whole body into it, you're lying. You're trying to fool yourself, and it actually never, and it won't have really a positive impact for you. It actually could be detrimental because it works opposite. Because now you're lying to yourself because you don't really believe it, right? You feel like an imposter, and so incantations are more effective. Day 3, create your own economy, right? Add more value to make more money in the same amount of time. Okay, but you have to do it consistently and you have to over deliver. When you do that, you build a brand, and a brand is so important. um, so you talked about, again, what's your ideal client, who's your ideal client, and what is your irresistible offer. And let's see, day 4 is about relationships, right? The biggest thing I got from it is don't treat relationships as a transaction, right? He talked about the 3 U's and the 3 C's. Again, go back to my video from yesterday to review the actual details. And a big thing, again, the great reminder, men want to solve problems, women want to share. And there's a great video, if you look it up on YouTube, it's not about the nail. It's hilarious, but it's so true. In terms of how men and women see problems differently or approach them differently. Okay, so on to number 5. Okay, so day 5. So today he talks about, he basically covers the 5 keys to sustaining a breakthrough. Okay, and so the whole week you got amazing information, powerful information. You probably felt amazing as well. However, how are you going to sustain it? That's the key thing. Okay, and of course there's a lot of different principles, but let's see what he talks about here. Number 1, get clear on what you really want and where you really are. Okay, so why is that important? Because if you don't know where you are, it's really hard to go in any direction, right? So when you answer these questions, it gives you a map. If you think about Google, right, you type in an address and then you hit directions, right? But Google needs to know where you're at and where you're going. So same thing in your life. And from where you are to where you want to be is a gap. Okay, and we'll go into that a little bit later. And so he asked a few questions, right? What's been a breakthrough you've had in your life? And how did you make that happen? Right? Just think back to that. Next one, what do you want most now? In your career, your business, your relationship, your health? What's 1 or 2 things? And the next question, what are 1 or 2 actions you can take to achieve these goals? And finally, what do you want? But more importantly, why do you want it? Okay, once you answer those questions, now imagine you actually accomplished it. Close your eyes and feel it. Feel that you've actually accomplished your goals. And then celebrate. Woo! Whoop, whoop. High five. Whichever way that you celebrate. Okay? So, again, 5 keys to sustain a breakthrough. Number 1, get clear on what you really want and where you really are. Okay? Number 2, second key to sustaining a breakthrough. Crush, destroy, annihilate, and replace any story of limitation. Essentially, it's getting rid of your limiting beliefs. And again, a limiting belief is a belief. It's the story that you tell yourself. And then he talks about suffering never comes from facts in life. It's our perception of the facts that create suffering. And he talked about if your mother, I think he said mother, if your mother died at a certain time, obviously, you're going to grieve, you're going to have certain feelings, that's fine. But he said after 6 months or a year, what have you, if you're still suffering and revisiting it, then you're the one who's actually causing it, right? You're choosing it because of your beliefs. Because at the end of the day, how do you know when your mother's supposed to go? We don't know. We don't know timing of anything, right? So when stuff happens, that's okay. It's part of life. But how you interpret that or what meaning you give to it will determine if you suffer or not. And then I always love this quote. Life is happening for me, not to me. So do you have enough faith that whatever's happening in your life is actually meant to be? I always try to, and for the most part I have. Even when I've gone through traumatic experiences, I'll say, well, I don't know why I'm going through this, but is I choose to believe that it's preparing me to be the man I'm meant to be, I'm supposed to be, to create the impact I'm supposed to create while I'm here on this earth. Okay? And so a lot of times, when you suffer in a certain area, you don't want someone else to suffer, right? If you grew up with no food like Tony, you don't want anyone else to suffer that. So that's why he gives so many meals away. Okay? And again, what keeps us suffering is limiting beliefs. Okay? Again, he talked about beliefs create and destroy. We get to choose. Okay? So what do we have to do? We have to change the conditioning. Okay? It's not intellectual. Just knowing what you need to do is not enough. That's why you gotta rewire yourself. Then he talked about what's your philosophy in life? Because your philosophy in life determines if you actually act upon a certain belief. It doesn't matter if you have the strategy. If you don't have a certain philosophy that helps serve you, then you're still not going to act. Okay, and so he talked about certain philosophy that I think Jim Rohn had taught him. He said, anytime you think you can't do something, then you must do it immediately. You gotta stop allowing yourself to make excuses. And I think that's actually really powerful. Because again, it's just pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. It's creating a habit, basically, is what it is. To be comfortable when you're uncomfortable. A lot of times when we're uncomfortable, a lot of times we just freeze. We don't do anything about it. And that doesn't actually help you move forward in your life. But I don't feel secure. He talks about, if you want security, go to prison. If you want freedom, you gotta act. And he talked about an example of monkeys where they learned helplessness. Okay? And I'm not going to share the details, but it was, I don't know. The experiment was quite cool. But he talked about the 3 Ps. Okay? Permanent, right? If you think your problem is permanent, permanent. He said, you think your problem is permanent. And the truth is, no problem is permanent. Only your soul is. And I always remind myself that, everything is temporary. That's what I always tell myself. Whether it's good or bad. Even if it's good, woohoo, right? It's temporary. And that's why, sometimes people think, oh, I just want to be happy in life. I'm like, sure. When was the last time you were happy? Oh, I don't know. Okay, well, whatever it was, just think about a time you were happy. How long did that feeling last? Oh, I don't know. An hour, half an hour, 5 minutes, a day, 2 weeks, a month, up to a month maybe, right? So if you're always chasing something that's fleeting, that's temporary, is that really a great goal to chase after? It's always going to be gone, right? So just something for you to think about. It's something I'm just adding in. Number 2, second P, pervasive. Meaning if one area is bad, then my whole life is over. Right? It's giving meaning that way. He says you shouldn't do that, obviously. Okay? Number 3 is personal. Third P. There's something wrong with me. Excuse me. And if you believe that, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, basically, right? There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect as you are. You're exactly where you're supposed to be, my friend. Okay? And so how do you create lasting, sustained breakthroughs, right? You got to do physically with physiology, right? And with repetition. Okay? Number 3, third key to sustain breakthroughs. Watch your language or your TV transformation vocabulary. Because what you say has so much power. He talks about how language shapes what we think and feel. How we feel determines what we do, which in terms determines what we have, results. Okay? And so, again, we can change our biochemistry by what we say through our words. Okay? So, I just want you to really think about that, how powerful that is, our words that we use. There's a great book a long time ago, Hung by the Tongue. What you say, you're basically hung by what you say. So what are you saying? Okay? And then Tony talked about a certain event where he felt he was really wronged and he got really upset. And he had 2 partners, and each person had a different reaction to what happened. One guy was irate, and he kept saying, I forget the word, but it's really like enraged, furious, right? Like really powerful negative words. And Tony's like, I'm mad, I'm pissed off, right? It's still negative, but not as intense as his other guy. And then another guy's like, well, he used the words tinkle. I'm tinkled and I'm peeved. And so that I found that pretty funny, because again, what words are you using? Because your vocabulary actually creates your biochemistry as well. It affects your biochemistry, how you feel, what goes on inside. So the more powerful, intense words that you use, in positive or negative, it's going to affect the state that you're in. Okay? So the words this is what he said. The words you link to your experiences become your experiences. I'll say it again. The words you link to your experiences become your experiences. So if you change your vocabulary, you change your life. Okay? What does that mean? Just watch what you say. When you use words like tired, upset, depressed, it changes your state to a low energy. And is that where you want to be? Of course not. Right? When you're really angry, I get it. Right? We may have strong feelings, but you get to choose what words you use. Even if you're really pissed off, you can say, "Man, I don't feel positive about this." And that's true, right? But you're using a different vocabulary than maybe how you're feeling right in the moment. And when you do that, you actually decrease the intensity of the negative emotion, which again is positive for you because you can put yourself in a more positive state. And then he had us do an assignment. He asked to make a list of some of the words you use when you're really, really angry, right? So, what words do you use? And then the second thing, come up with 2 to 3 other words that will be humorous or will break your pattern. Okay? So that's the assignment for meaning, for the language. Number 4. Fourth key to sustaining breakthrough, massive action is the cure-all. It's pretty simple, folks. You got to take massive action in a relatively short period of time. Okay? Or you say, yeah, but I don't like something. Well, change it. Well, I don't like this. Well, change it. Right? And he said, I'm not leaving the sight of setting a goal or making a decision without doing something in that moment. And that guarantees that he has to follow through later on. And then so, essentially make decisions quicker. Well, what if I make the wrong decision? Well, you probably will many times in your life. But the quicker you make that decision, the more action you take on it, the quicker you'll be to know when it's not the right decision. And then what can you do? You can pivot. But if you're waiting to take action, you take minimal action, it's going to take you longer to actually understand, I need to make some changes. This actually is not working. Okay? And how can you speed up the results? Very simply, modeling someone who has the results that you want, and then copy those actions. Very simple. And he shared a story of how his daughter, Jolene, she's like 21, dreams to be a professional dancer, and she was in university or college, and she was in the middle of her semester, and he just called her up and just said, hey, you know what, I know you have this dream to become a professional dancer, and to become a professional dancer, there's a limited time frame, right? When you get a certain age, you no longer can really be a pro because your body just breaks down or it can't do what it used to when you're still in your 20s. And so she said, oh, okay, well, what do you think I should do? He said, well, you should go to Broadway, right? That's where all the pro dancers, it's a different culture. You'll be around a lot better people. And she says, oh, okay, when should I go? He said, well, how about now? She said, yeah, I'm in the middle of the semester. And so she wanted to have a second opinion. And so, she talked to their friend, and he said, yeah, you should definitely go for it. And so Tony helped her, set her up, paid for her place and her lessons, I believe. And so she went and chased after her dream. And 5 months to the day, he went to go visit her in New York, and she had him picked up with a limo, I believe, and brought to a stage on Broadway. And this was 5 months from the day that he had this conversation, and he was just so proud of her. And I was like, wow, that's pretty powerful. But how important is it? Right? Again, no. Key number 4: take massive action. Right? The quicker you do it, the quicker you'll know if you're taking the right actions. And then key number 5, and this was the most powerful for me, is just give more than you expect to receive. Okay? And he talks about how it's building another muscle in your heart, in your spirit, in your soul. Because there's always someone in the world who's worse off than you. So no matter, if you want to be a victim, that's your choice. But there's always someone worse than you. So who are you comparing to? Are you comparing to someone who's way ahead of you, or are you comparing to someone who's a lot worse than you? Right? I think if you compare to someone who's worse than you, hopefully you have some gratitude and grateful for what you have. And, for a lot of times for myself, when people say, "Hey, how are you doing today?" I'm like, "I'm doing phenomenal." They're like, "Phenomenal? I never hear that." I'm like, "Well, it's another day above ground. And I live in Canada, a free country where the poorest people have a roof over their head, clothes on their back, and food in their stomachs. And that's really all you need." And so I'm grateful for every day. And, if you know my story, I could have easily not been alive. I was one of the boat people in Vietnam coming over. I was 2 months old in a boat full of people in the massive ocean. So if you think about that, like, there were over 500,000 Vietnamese people who tried to flee at that time, who died trying to escape. And so every day is a bonus day for me. So I'm very grateful. And, and when you have that, you get out of the scarcity mindset and more into abundance. Okay? And what's also important is when you give to somebody, they feel that other people actually care and that they are important. And they should still be alive, really. Right? And then, man, Tony has an amazing way of sharing his stories. He shared his story on how he got into his first major seminar with Jim Rohn. It cost $1,200, which is equivalent to like $10,000 today, he said. And he had no money. 17-year-old kid, 17-year-old. Didn't have support anywhere, essentially homeless. He was living out of his car, but he had this massive dream. And he was able to attend a shorter seminar, I think like 3 hours, for like $35, but that was like a week's pay for him. And he got so much out of it, he knew he had to make it into this seminar. But he didn't know where to get the $1,200. And so he just focused on trying to come up with the money. And he went to bank to actually try to get a loan. But come on, he's 17, right? No collateral, no nothing. So they all turned him down. And then one day, as he getting closer to the actual seminar date, he just changed his state. He didn't know this at the time. He's like, hey, he got determined. I'm like, I'm gonna make this happen. I'm gonna get this loan. Went in. He found the person that he thought he could persuade the easiest, and he asked. He filled out a loan application, and he said, she's like, oh, you're only 17. Says you have to be 18, and she's like, when's your birthday? And he's like, when does it have to be? Right? Again, his mind is just focused on making it happen, and she asked him other questions. Oh, this address. I didn't know there's apartments on these major crossroads. And he says, well, I live in a mobile home. His car. And eventually, she's like, yeah, no bank is going to give you a loan. Like, there's no way. And then finally, he just opened up and told her the whole truth. He's living in his car, went to the seminar. He wants to really help people. He's really passionate. He really wanted to make things happen. And she believed him. She knew he was determined, but she also knew that no bank is ever going to give him a loan. And so she believed enough in him to give him a chance. She said, hey, you know what? No bank is going to give you a loan, but if you promise me that I don't have to chase you for the money. I will loan the money myself or co-sign or whatever. I'll make it happen for you. And Tony, being this huge guy, gave her a huge hug, and he's obviously so grateful. And how amazing is that for someone to believe in you enough to be willing to do that for you? Oh, that's, to me, that's just heart. That pulls my heartstrings, big time. And so he has a saying: the secret to living is giving. And another story he shares, man, so good. He was successful a little bit, and then he started to plateau, and then he started to go downhill. And this was, I think, probably still in his teens or early 20s. And the reason why is he forgot why he started doing what he's doing. And he focused on getting instead of giving. And so he was at a point where he was broke again, living in Venice, I believe. He hit rock bottom, and he grew up with a lot of abuse, and it was from drugs and so forth. So he didn't want to do drugs. But he used food instead. And he ballooned up. He gained a lot of weight. But then one day he figured he only had like $26 left. So he says, "Okay, I gotta go to an all-you-eat place," right? So he found an all-you-can-eat salad and taco place, which was in a place nearby Venice, which is Marina del Rey. It's about 2.5-3 kilometers. And so he just walked, right? Because if he had to drive, he had to pay for parking. And so after eating, he saw this beautiful woman come in, and then right behind her is a young gentleman. Her son turned out to be her son, and he just saw how he opened the door for her, how he treated her as like a lady, pulled out her seat, and just was present and talked to her. And that was so beautiful to him that when he left, he went to introduce himself to the little boy and just say, "You know what, you are a classy gentleman." And the little boy is like, "Oh, thank you." He said he couldn't pay for the lunch because he's only 11, or I think 8 or 11 years old. And so, well, Tony said, "Well, you're paying for lunch." He took out the rest of his money out of his $26 and put it on the table. And the little boy's like, "I can't take that." He says, "Yes, you can, because I'm bigger than you." And so the boy agreed and said thank you. And Tony turned around and just walked out. And he felt amazing. And he didn't do that to try and, get to know his mother, right? He did it because he felt it was the right thing to do. And, he just felt free. He just felt joyful. He didn't know where he's going to get the money the next day for food or whatever, but he just did what he believed was the right thing to do. And lo and behold, the next day, he got some mail. And it was mainly just bills. But then he got a loan that he lent to a friend like a couple years before. It was like $1,100, and it was payment with interest. So it was $1,200. The guy said, "Here's your money back. Here's the loan. Thank you so much, with interest. I felt so embarrassed. I couldn't pay you until now, but I want to say thank you so much." And then, at that moment, Tony he was just grateful. He had moved away from scarcity mindset to abundance. And when he did that, the universe just opened up to him. And so, key number 5, give more than you expect to receive. The secret to living is giving. Some people always say, "Oh, you're rich, you can do that." But he talks about how when he had no money at 17, he still paid it forward, right? He still gave away 2 meals a year. He had no money as a 17-year-old. But when he started to make money, he doubled to 4 meals, 8 meals, 16 meals. And now today, it's millions of meals over the last number of years. And so I think he has a goal of like 1 billion meals by 2030 or something like that. And again, it just comes from the heart, and a heart of abundance, a mindset of abundance. So, wherever you're at, like, just find a way that you can give some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be anything big. Just give where you can. if you don't have a lot of money, give your time. Maybe volunteer at a soup kitchen or something. Like, there's always something we can do to pay it forward. You know? And so, let's see. And so, you know, that's all the notes that I have for day 5, integration. And at the end of the day, the key is you need to start applying these principles. Not just learn them, not just take the notes. I hope these videos help you. And again, it's just a way for me to actually be able to go back and look at these videos and actually not just read things, but actually have it have it animated, right? Someone talking. Because I know that Tony's gonna take down the videos pretty soon. So obviously mine's going to stay because it's my channel and me just just sharing my notes. And so, and Tony, the giver that he is has decided, and he announced that there's going to be a day 6, a bonus day on Monday. So in 2 days, he's coming on again for another 90 minutes, which probably turn out to be 2 hours or so. Again at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern. And so, I don't know how your week was, my friends, but it was amazing for me. Hopefully, you got so much from it. And yeah, if you like these videos, again, please subscribe, please share. You know, every day I come on and my goal is to be able to share something of value to you, but at least at minimum a little positivity. All right, friends, thank you for listening, for joining me. I want to say I love you. Have a great day, and a great rest of your weekend. Bye bye.